Hi all, you are watching a segment of the Countdown program from November 13, 2023. Today is Monday. View all of our programs on the Patreon resource. Soon publicly available programs will be very short. So go to Patreon. I'll talk about the topics of the postscriptum program a little later, but now let's get to the main thing. In the cave they are twisting the nuts with might and main and swinging the whip. Because there are no more gingerbreads. Traditional values will be introduced through the whip of orthodoxy and the cudgels of the security forces. Firstly, a bill is being prepared in the depths of the State Duma, according to which they will begin to imprison people for positive statements addressed to those on the list of extremists and terrorists. Simply put, he said a kind word to the same Sotnik and immediately sat down. Convenient and revealing. And the ground is being prepared for testing the next cave bloggers. It's time to expand Zoniv's rules for those who are especially literate and have long languages. The plans also include strict liability for inducing abortion. In general, abortion itself will soon be recognized as almost a crime against the state. Not only do slaves refuse to give birth, but they also die, both in the trenches and in the rear. Medicine is terrible, and prayers do not always help. So the shaggy-snouted population is being buried, not leaving behind numerous offspring. Because it's not enough to give birth, you also have to somehow feed and raise. There has been no education in the cave for a long time, but without food and clothing you cannot raise a child. It will freeze and die before reaching the roasting age. So for a state that is already falling into a demographic hole, there is only one way out: to criminalize abortion itself, and at the same time everyone who talks about it. And to keep everyone silent while sitting in their holes, the governor of the Novosibirsk region, Edros Travnikov, introduced a bill to the local legislative assembly that prohibits holding mass events in almost all of Novosibirsk. The state is also moving towards the last island of property owners, renting out housing. The State Duma is preparing for the second reading a bill that would allow renting an apartment by the day only if it does not create inconvenience to neighbors. The norm stipulates that at least 75% of the residents of an apartment building must vote and allow apartments to be rented out on a daily basis. The new law will actually put an end to daily rentals in residential buildings. Cave experts are at a loss. Further attack of the state on people is not only inappropriate, but criminal, they whine. The spring will sooner or later fail. Did someone talk about NEP 2.0 in February to March 2022? Here is War Communism 2.0 in all its glory. End of quote. Watch this and other stories in full on the Patreon resource. Become our patrons right now and look further in this program. While UN Secretary-General Guterres sheds tears on Palestinians, the Israel Defense Forces says troops continue to find Hamas weapons during raids in the Gaza Strip, including in schools, mosques and residential buildings. Up to 500,000 people took to the streets of London on Saturday in support of Palestine. Today, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak fired Interior Minister Suella Braverman. It is unknown whether this resignation is related to the latest mass protests. And in the Danish capital, Islamists unfurled the flags of Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and demanded the start of jihad. In the next 2 days, the aggressor may launch a massive missile strike on Ukraine. Experts say that the Russians could have accumulated up to 800 units of high-precision missiles. RIA Novosti cancelled the news, which reported on the regrouping of troops on the left bank of the Dnieper, in the partially occupied Kherson region. Such information chatter may indicate confusion in the Russian Ministry of Defense, which stated that dispatching a false message about the regrouping of troops is a provocation. Watch in the program, Postscript. The Kremlin views the West's reflection as a sign of growing readiness for negotiations. The myth of the invincibility of the Russians, hardened by cold territories, wild spaces and marshy swamps, according to the collectors of Soviet lands, should stop the West from helping Ukraine and force it to reconsider its attitude towards the war. The cave thinker foreign agent Inozentsev is already revealing to the Kremlin base how exactly the West should gently crawl away and surrender Ukraine to the cave. In the Czech Republic, 384 criminal cases have officially been opened against those who support Russia. Press Secretary of the Czech Police Andrej Moravčik informed about this. And that is all. See all of our programs on Patreon. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. Hugged everyone. See you on Thursday. Glory to Ukraine.